But whether you are a town selectman or freshman in Congress, it won't take long before you come face to face with blatant corruption veiled as public service. That's what's happening. Once they get into office, things start to change for many of them. It becomes their own self-interest rather than the interests of the people. And that's very mob-like, people. On the street, you're worried about yourself. That's it. Politicians, unfortunately, doing the same thing. Hey everyone, welcome to another Sit Down with Michael Franzese. Hope everybody is doing well. All is blessed on this end. Praise God for that. I always give God praise and honor and glory for all that is going on in my life. And as you can see, I'm still not back in my studio. I'm still in London, but this is my last day. I will be traveling home today. I'm excited to get home, even though the people here in London, throughout the United Kingdom, have been wonderful. As you know, I've said it before, we're promoting our tour. The media really supported us on that, and everybody's excited about me coming back here in July and touring all of the United Kingdom. We're doing 25 dates. They're going to be very special. A lot of them dinner dates. A lot of high-profile people will be attending, and just really excited about it. But I'm even more excited about this. Today is the release of my book, A Mafia Democracy. Today, May 17th. I've been waiting for this a long time. I'm very excited about it, and I hope all of you who are interested in what's really going on in our government are just as excited about it. And we've been talking about it for the past couple of days, actually for the past couple of months, but today's the release date. You can click on the link below. You can go to Amazon. We've gotten a lot of great reviews already from people that have had an advanced copy. I'm very excited about it. Some people are going to get upset about this, but I got to tell you, it was a shock to me. Rudy Giuliani did the foreword to this book, and it was shocking. Remember, this was my enemy many years ago, tried to put me in jail for 100 years. And now he's written a foreword to the book, and I think you're going to really like it. It was a surprise to me, but he really felt the book had meaning. I don't know what his position was, but he felt the book had meaning, and I think those of you who read it, regardless of what side of the political scale you're on, I think you're going to enjoy it too. The best way I want to introduce some things to you to kind of get you to pick it up, because I think it's important to know the condition of our government, where they're heading, how they're ruling. And in my opinion, and I'm going to support it with facts and evidence, very mob-like, very Machiavellian-like. I'm going to read a little bit of an excerpt out of the book just so you understand. I think it's better than me explaining. I'm going to read what I wrote in this book. And people, I put my heart and soul in this. This is not a fluff piece. I'm very concerned about the condition of our government. I have 7 children that are going to be here, God willing, well after I leave. And this is not the same country I grew up in. Now understand something. There was a point in time where I hated the government. I hated them, and not because they were doing the wrong thing, because they were after me and my dad, and I didn't like them. I was brought up not to like the government. And then it changed when God came into my life and transformed my life, and my wife, made me see a different perspective. I have many friends in government right now, and I support the government. I support law enforcement because we need our elected officials to do the right thing for the country. It's important, obviously, and we need our law enforcement to protect us. And so this is a book I put my heart in because I want to make people aware, because there is power in numbers. We still have the power to change things when they're headed in the wrong direction, and we're there right now, and it's time to take action. So let me read just a little bit because I want you to understand something. This is very important, okay? The title of this portion of the book is, It's Time to Wake Up. This is not a book about my political views. I want to make this very clear. You're going to see that. I'm not giving you my political views. I am pointing out what's wrong in government. I am pointing out how the government is acting very mob-like, very Machiavellian. And I go all the way with it. Democrats, Republicans, you name it. And I go and I point out issues in people that are being elected to serve us and how they've done just the opposite. They've served themselves. So this is not a book about my political views. This is not a partisan attempt to get people to go along with my politics or my ideology. I'm not trying to get you to change political parties. Understand that. I don't want you to change your political party. I want you to put the right people in office that are going to do the right thing for the country and not campaign on one issue and then change their opinion when they get in. That's important, not their opinion. Change everything when they get in. Go in the reverse. I'm a conservative, I'll admit to that, but I'll spotlight the behavior of both Democrats and Republicans and show you how similar it is to how the mafia bosses acted. I want this book to serve as a wake-up call and help American citizens see what is really going on in the hallowed halls of Washington, D.C. I want to alert people to the fact that our government is getting out of control and operating more like the mafia than the representative government our founding fathers envisioned. And I want you to understand that it's dangerous. I know how the mafia operates. I was born into it. I've lived it. It can be corrupt, vicious, and controlling, and you don't want that in our government. I hope this book illuminates your mind and helps you see what's really happening. The idea that we are hiring altruistic, selfless, and honest representatives to protect our interests is outdated and naive. Today's politicians are protecting their own interests, not ours, and we deserve better. This is not to say that all politicians are corrupt. I want to make that clear. We're not saying all politicians are corrupt. I'm really talking about the system. This is not to say that all politicians are corrupt. From town halls to state houses to Congress, honest people set aside their own interest to serve the people. We should respect and admire these folks. But whether you are a town selectman or freshman in Congress, it won't take long before you come face to face with blatant corruption veiled as public service. That's what's happening. Once they get into office, things start to change for many of them. It becomes their own self-interest rather than the interests of the people. And that's very mob-like, people. On the street, you're worried about yourself. That's it. Politicians, unfortunately, doing the same thing. People are tired, anxious, and uncertain. They need to know what's happening with the government, and that's what I aim to do with this book. To accomplish this goal, I'll explore the following. 1, the history of the mafia in the U.S. We're going to go into that, but a little bit more. The mob has a violent yet storied history in the United States. Though its influence has waned in recent years, its method and ideology have flourished among elected officials across the country. I'll show you how the mob was organized and how its structure and practices have been adopted by elected officials from your local state house to the halls of Congress. 2, the invisible empire of special interests that have captured our government. President Woodrow Wilson warned us about this when he said, quote, "The government, which was designed for the people, has got into the hands of the bosses and their employers, the special interests. An invisible empire has been set up above the forms of democracy," end of quote. Wilson's grim observation seems even more prophetic today. Our elected leaders not only accept favors and contributions from lobbyists, but work hand in glove with industries to develop policies that enrich corporations while leaving the rest of us struggling to make our house payments. 3, how politicians enrich themselves. I'm going to go into that heavily, people, and you're going to be shocked, you're going to be surprised, and you're going to be angered, guaranteed. I'm not going to go into it now, it's too much of it there. The role of lobbyists. The mafia's influence in places like New York, Chicago, Kansas City, and Vegas, it wasn't always based upon the threat of violence. Instead, the mob's power was often based on the promise of great wealth to those who did the mafia's bidding. The same is true of lobbyists today. Lobbyists control the government by allowing politicians to share in the wealth and security that comes from its tight grip on policy and regulations. I go into this heavily. 4, the price of overregulation. The volume of federal regulation has tripled since 1970. Most of these rules don't affect industries with a strong lobbying arm, but the red tape pushes small businesses into bankruptcy and closes the door to innovators trying to enter a new market. Next, campaign financing and term limits. The vast sums of money required to win an election ensure that rich donors will get the ear of our elected leaders. For some reason, we think this is all about Republicans. It's not. Democrats have very wealthy donors too. It happens on both sides. I know the Democrats often talk about special interest groups and all the money. They got it on both sides. Republicans are guilty and Democrats are guilty too. And sometimes we have a different impression. I'm going to point out how you're wrong about this. Both sides are guilty, and both to the detriment of all U.S. citizens, unless you're wealthy and you have a lobbying arm that can exercise control over government officials. So that was kind of just a bird's eye view of what to expect. But I go into this deeply, people, and I know you're going to be moved, and I know you're going to be troubled by it. And what do I want you to do? Do I want you to start to protest? No. Do I want you to get violent? No. Do I want you to go online and start arguing with everybody, cussing people out? No. I want you to really think about this. I want you to think about what's in your best interest, the best interest of the country, and as the leader of the world, in many ways, the best interest of the world. Because we are in very difficult times. There are governments across this world that are causing major problems. You see what's going on in Ukraine. You know what's going on in Cuba, Venezuela, other places where people don't have freedom because it was gradually taken away. That's what's happening here in the United States. It's becoming very Mafia-like. So I encourage you to pick up a copy of the book. I'm very excited about it. I want to hear what you have to say. I've been getting requests now from a lot of different people to come on and talk about the book. I will get in depth in it. I put my heart in this. It didn't happen overnight. It took me several years to write this book and really make sure that what I'm putting down on paper is factual, it's real, the comparisons are valid, and I really hope that it's a benefit to all of you that read it. So that's it for today. How do I always leave you? Same way. I'm about to catch a plane, so be safe, be healthy. God bless all of you. And yes, I'll see you next time back in my studio at home in the good old United States, the country that I love and that I was born in and that I know all of you love. It's still the greatest country in the world. Take care.